So here's the thing. When beautiful, good start. All right, now when first off, when you're dealing with people in general, a couple of things you have to learn about sales, right? It's write this down. It's called the 20-20-60 rule. Okay. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so the 20-20-60 rule basically means that 20% of the people that you're going to see are what we call not buyers. Okay, so it doesn't matter who does the demo. You could do the demo, I could do the demo, Barack Obama could show up there and be like, look, I didn't vote for you, and I'm not going to buy your knives, I don't want knives. Okay, so these are people who just don't buy. All right, so nothing you can do about them. So should you worry about them? No, okay, because they're out there, they exist, and that's just kind of how it goes, right? However, there's another 20% who who counteract those two, who always buy. Okay, these are like the compulsive shoppers. All right, these are people on the phone. You were like, yeah, well, you don't have to buy anything. They're like, yeah, but can I? Okay, like I need kitchen stuff. All right, so those people are good too, and you want to run into them. But do you really do anything to affect those people? No, they were going to buy no matter what. Okay, like they were just in a good. Now, do you want to see a lot of those people? Yes. You want me to give you a guaranteed way to see a lot of those people? See a lot of those people.
Okay.
It's just how it goes. Okay, so you know, as I say a lot of times, like there's this line here is like, let's say the green dots are encouraging sales, and then you get something like big sales, right? And let's say the red dots are no sales, no shows, mean people, I'm not going to buy anythingers. Okay, those types of people. All right. So that's what happens. Now, what the black line is called effort. See, so some people, they do that amount of effort each week. Maybe they get one big sale, they get some rejection. Okay, but the more effort you do, well, you're inviting in more discouragement, more red dots, but you're also inviting in more green dots. Okay, it's just kind of how it goes. It's all maxed out, and the person who puts this much effort in. See, but the thing is, when like somebody who had all those green dots and had like 3 big sales, this and that, and they were at $3,000 or $4,000 for the week, would you care about any of the red dots? No. Okay, but sometimes people just do enough work to do that, and then they get 2 red dots, and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. Okay, and then another week they get 2 green dots, and they're like, oh, I love this job. Right? But it's really just a matter of putting in more effort and just understand the red dots and the green dots all exist. You just have to. Your effort, it depends on what you're focused on and what you're going to get. It's just part of the job, right? But sometimes people get that and they focus on that. And I remember I was watching they were talking about what you focus on. So like you're an artist, right? So like there's a picture. Let's say there's a picture and it's of a party, okay? And there's some people playing video games. There's some people drinking, doing a keg stand. There's 2 people sitting on the couch, like they're just kind of like bumming, right? And there's people dancing, right? And if you saw the whole picture, you go, wow, that's a great party, okay? But if you just focused on the 2 people sitting and you just took a picture of the 2 people sitting there on the couch, like with their cups, you're like, that party sucked, okay? So it's all about what you focus on, okay? And so if that's what you focus on, then that's all you see, and that's what some people's perception of vector is. It's like, oh, it's just really hard, and that's it, okay? And some people see that every once in a while, like the first weekend, like they have 2 homemaker sales, they're like, this is awesome, right? That happens all the time. But this is, you know, just understanding this concept that the more effort you do, the more discouragement you open into your life, but also the more opportunity you open into your life, and also the more. But when you get the results that you want, you don't really care about all the discouragement. It's just the results. All right. So that's the red dots and the green dots. All right. However, 60% of the people you're going to run into are directly affected by you. Affected by the rep. Okay. And I'll go through the top 3 objections in a minute, and then we'll be good. All right. So that means what you say, how you handle things, how your confidence is. You know, those are the people affected. Now, when we first teach you how to sell, and until you get to literally like I would say like 30 grand until you get to FSM, right? You're still in the process of learning how to get better at the job. Okay, it's just kind of how it goes. It takes time to learn. However, if you can get good at these people, we call these people the fence sitters. Okay, they're on the fence. Okay, and you have to influence them to or persuade them to buy or not buy. They're affected by your demo. Okay, but once you get good at the 60%, and then you couple that with the 20% who buy all the time, then you should. That's how you get like 8 to 10 other people buying from you all the time.
Right.
All right. So you just have to learn how to handle these 60%. Right. Now, how do you know if you get a not buyer? Here's how you know if you got a not buyer. If they wouldn't buy Cutco, if you gave it to them for free. Okay, and they're like, no, I wouldn't do it. Now, like even like the lady you said yesterday who had the Tinker Toy noise or whatever the heck you called them. I keep calling Tinker Toys. If you had given her a homemaker for free, do you think she would have been like, look, I don't want this. I'm using my son's thingy knives.
It's hard to say.
If she would have had a homemaker today in her house, do you think she would grab the serrated knives or Cutco?
Probably Cutco.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. She probably been like, all right, like I get it. They're better. All right. So they're better. Right. If you would have gave it to her for free yesterday, how happy would she have been? Would she have been like, no, I don't want it. I have this.
No.
No, she would have took it next time. Okay? So you're like, well, who wouldn't take Cutco for free? Okay? But what if you run into someone who's like, look, my son works for Williams-Sonoma, and he gets me free knives whenever I want. Okay? Are you going to be able to sell them Cutco? No, all right? So that's like a not buyer. Oh, I only buy blue things in my kitchen. Okay? Do you have any blue handle knives? I can't do anything for you, all right? Like that's a not buyer, okay? Like you can't do anything about it. Like that's just how they exist. But there's not a lot of those people, right? But I've had both of those scenarios happen, by the way. That's why I talk about those scenarios, all right? You always buy people, they just run into them, okay? How do you know they always buy? They just buy, all right? So how do you know if you got one of these 60%? All right, well, here's how you know. They say one of these things, okay? Okay, these are the 5 major objections, right? So can't afford it, too expensive, not now, and think about it, call me back, gotta talk to my husband, gotta talk to my wife, gotta talk to the dog before I buy knives. My knives are okay, I have knives, my knives are fine, and can I get pieces? Okay, so have you heard any of those before? Yes. Have you heard anything other than these things? No. Okay, so these are the 5. These are, and you're at like $4,000 in sales and done a good amount of appointments. So that's it. They don't come. And the great thing about these 5 is there's answers for all 5. It's not like customers have meetings every week. Like, hey, Betty, they're getting good if they can't afford an objection. We can't say that anymore. Okay, like as soon as you learn how to handle it, that's it. And you just know how to handle the 60%, and the customers keep saying the same thing, and you just get good at handling it, and then you have very high closing ratio. All right. So let's go through these. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to handle these 3. Okay? Because these are the 3, because of time. And would you agree if you didn't have customers say these 3 to you ever again that you would be knife salesperson of the world? Yeah. Okay, if you just limit those. These we'll talk about later. All right? So let's talk a little bit. I'll give you a little bit of psychology on them quickly, and then I'll give. By the way, these 5 objections are what you're going to get. You said you want to run your own business. You want to do, set design. Okay, so let's say you do that. Right? So they come in and you say, here, I'm going to design the set. Blah blah blah. Here's the I don't know what they call it. Estimates, okay, of what it's going to cost to do this, right? And the person who's doing things, I can't afford that much. That's ridiculous. For I don't know. That's so expensive. What are you doing that costs this much? Okay, I got to think about this. I'm going to have to talk to the director and talk to this and see what we can do. I mean, do we really need like a brand new set? Can we just is this really necessary? Can we just find maybe a set that's already put together? Do you have to do everything? Do you have to do all of this, or can we just get this and this and this? Right? So, right, well, but that's what you gotta do, right? So it's like, this is the 5 objections. Doctors hear this, lawyers, people take their car in, you know, it's gonna be $600 to fix your sensor. $600, I can't afford that. That's for a sensor? Why does it cost so much? I don't know, I gotta think about this, maybe I'll come back next week. I mean, do I even really need this sensor? It's like, I mean, can I just drive around, can I just put the sensor myself? Can I get it and buy it and just put it myself? All right, so these are the objections. This is it, all right? So everybody hears these objections. If you're gonna deal with people, you gotta learn how to deal with these, all right? So we're going to eliminate these 2 for now, just for time. All right, so let's talk about can't afford it. Okay, first off, can't afford it and too expensive. So you can just write this in your notes. Have nothing to do with money. Okay, money is not an issue in these 2 objections. All right, can't afford it is what's called a desire issue. They don't want it bad enough. And too expensive is called a value issue. They don't think it's worth it. The amount of money is not really there. Okay, it doesn't really matter. All right, I'll explain that in a minute. All right, and now customers sometimes say too expensive when they mean can't afford it. Like they're like, oh, it's too expensive for me right now. I don't have that kind of money. Right? But what we're talking about the overall meaning of these phrases. All right. So can't afford it in the customer's mind is, look, I think the knives are great. I think they're well worth over $1,000. I just don't have that kind of money to spend. Okay. Too expensive means, look, I think the knives are great and I have the money, but why would you spend that much money on knives? Does that make sense? So fundamental difference in what they're thinking. So we're going to talk about the I can't, I don't have enough money. Okay. So first of all, so can't afford it. So just write this. Yes, they can. Okay. I have guaranteed you. Our company has guaranteed that every single person that you see can afford a piece of caca. How have we guaranteed that?
Because if they're living in the house, obviously they can afford like paying it out,
right? One of the rules is they have to be employed. Okay, so if you're seeing someone who's unemployed, they can't afford knives. Now maybe they can't afford a homemaker paid in full, but that's the great thing about our product. You can buy a trimmer, all right? So I remember Saphira, my favorite rep out in Brooklyn. I had to give her talk once to the Brooklyn people, and they were like, "What do you say when people can't afford it? Where I live, they can't afford it." She's like, "Where do you live?" She's like, "I live there." She's like, "What do you mean they can't afford it? It's a knife." Okay, like it's a knife, all right? We're not talking about a Lexus. It's a knife, all right? So just tell them they can afford it.
What if you don't realize, like, until you get to the house that, like, maybe one of, like, the husband or the wife is unemployed or
get better qualifying at least.
Okay.
Okay. So, but they still can afford a knife, right? Unless they're living. Again, we live in Long Island. We're not in the backwaters of Alabama. All right, they're living off their own farm. All right, so again, they can afford it. All right, so everyone can. So that's just your first thing you have to put into your head. Yes, they can. So that's that. Now, why do people not buy it, or why do they say can't afford it? Then is because there's not enough desire. Okay. See, there's a difference between what's called interest and desire. Okay. All right. Cutco is automatically interesting. Okay, it's like when you walk into one of those, what was that place? What's that place at the mall that has all the tchotchkes? Spencer's, right? Okay, so people go in Spencer's all the time, but sometimes they'll go in there and they just look around. It's fun. And you look at the stuff, and then you go, "Do I really need a glow-in-the-dark skeleton?" No. Okay, and so it's a fun thing to look at. And it's interesting, but desire is what makes people buy things. Okay, Cutco is automatically interesting. Like sometimes reps call and they say, "Oh, I go, how'd the demo go? It went great." Okay, what'd they buy? Nothing, but they loved it.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Okay, that's not a great demo. Okay, so of course they loved it. We know they loved it. It would be like the BMW salesperson going to their boss every month and going, I didn't sell any cars this month, but everybody loves the BMW. It's like, yeah, we know that. Okay, so we don't need you to tell us that they love the car. We need you to sell the car. All right. So there's a difference. Okay. So how do you get desire from people versus just being interesting? So there's 3 things you do to create desire. Number 1 is cut food. Okay? When you cut food with a customer, okay, I just remember Aviva Bennett, I'm on a mission to destroy their kitchen. Okay, like that's what she would cut up everything, all right? When you cut food, especially their food, okay, like I would always get their food. What the customers say in their head is they go, I've been cutting this food. I cut this food every single day of my life, or every week I cut up this food, and I know what it's like to cut it with my junky stuff. And if I buy Cutco, this is what it will be like now. Okay, and that happens in a split second as they do it. That's why we have people peel a carrot. Okay, like putting a peeler on a carrot and pushing it should not create an emotional response in a human being, but it does. Okay, like people are like, wow.
Yeah.
This is amazing, all right? Because they know what it's like to use junkie peelers. So cutting food is a very good way to get people to desire the product, not just think it's cool and it cuts rope. People don't eat rope with leather, all right? It's not necessary, all right? It's cool, but it's not designed. All right. Number 2 is testimonials and third-person stories. People love being like other people. People want to make the right decision. Okay, that's why we have those testimonials in your book. That's why when you run into people, you ask them for a testimonial. That's why when you go into the deli, they have the dollar bills with so and so. Good luck with your business. Or you go into BMW, they have the people who bought their cars who sent them a letter and said because they want those testimonials because people want to be like other people. What did other people say? Okay, that's why you need a happy customer list. All right, do you have that in your book?
I didn't start it because I didn't think I could fill a page.
You don't need to. It's just one customer is all you need. Okay, like you've sold $4,000 with a company. You don't need to fill a page, right? So I used to have 4 pages, right? But when I started, it was 1, right? So so the point being is, yes, you want because people just want to see other people buying. They like looking at the list. Oh, Mary Smith bought, I'll buy. All right. If you talk to if you ever hear, Tyler Park, talking, like he always talks about, this is the set that Sue bought, and this is the set that so-and-so bought, and this is the set that so-and-so bought, right? They might not even know who those people are. Like, it doesn't matter who those people are. Now, make sure that don't lie, okay? But, but the point is that they go, oh, they bought this, so that makes it okay for me to buy it. Does that make sense, right? Nobody wants to be the first or last person to do anything, all right? So if other people did it, then it makes me feel more comfortable. So that's why you have the third-person stories. That's why you put the testimonials in there. When you're doing the demo, it's not like you don't go, here's the spatula spreader, okay? You say, this is the spatula spreader, my mom loves this one, or so-and-so loves this one. Or let me show you my uncle's favorite knife, or let me show you the set that, So it's always talking about other people. And now they're like, oh, okay, look at all these other people who bought. That's why you have little gold copies in your front. So you can say, look at all these people who bought for me already. And then you have your certificates, just all these people who bought. They're like, oh, that's why we have a company page. Because when reps are brand new, they can't say all that stuff. So we say, we've had 16 million customers, we've been around forever, and we've been on TV, we've been on Dr. Phil, we've been on Modern. That's the whole purpose of that, is to create credibility, to go, oh, other people do this, and I'm the only, why haven't I heard of it? Right? So that's the selling point that gets customers to want to do it. All right. Same thing when you explain something to a customer. You don't tell. When you get good at, you'll see the top reps. They don't say, oh, Miss Jones, why don't you use the payment plan? Okay, they say, do you know what? I had a customer last week, okay, Mary Smith, who had the same situation, and she was looking at the same set, and what she did, or 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. And if you don't have that scenario, you say, we've had customers who have had the same scenario, like they looked at the essential set, and they wanted to get it, but they felt that they couldn't afford it. But you know what they did? What we did for them is the payment plan and this and that. So that's how they explain the payment plan. It's like, so would that work for you? As opposed to telling them a third-person story. Okay, and so that makes customers go, okay, somebody else did it. That makes more sense, as opposed to me and you battling. I'm just telling you a story about somebody else.
Right.
Makes sense. All right. So and that makes people feel more comfortable. Third.
How do you go about getting testimonials? Do you just call up like your previous customers and ask them? Like, is there?
Well, have you run somebody that had Cuck already?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where you go.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Testimonial. So as soon as you run somebody that has Cutco, you take out a piece of paper and you go, Mrs. Jones, thank you so much for. Oh, you have Cutco already? Oh, how long have you seen it? That's great. You know what? I can actually cut out a big part of the presentation. Come on in, Jody. You can actually learn this too. I'm taping now, so grab a chair and grab a seat. Doing a quick how to handle objections better piece. How are you doing?
Good.
Awesome. All right. So point being is, so yes, you just take out a piece of paper and you go, Mrs. Jones, could you just jot down? I only need you to write down 2 sentences. If you write more, that's great. But could you just jot down how long you've had Cutco and what do you think of it?
Okay.
All right. And then write down, yeah, I've had it for 5 years and it's great. I use it every day. And then you take that and you stick it in your book. Okay. And then you just show them all testimonies of other people who've had it for a long time. That's.
I have that.
Yeah. Tons of. So don't worry about it. I've got a short period of time, so I'm gonna go fast. And number 3 is tell them your story about Cutco, your personal experiences with Cutco. Now, back when I was a rep, we would all buy our kit. I would say as soon as you can, buy your own ice, right? But even if you don't do that in the beginning, because we used to have a sample program, so we would get some and then we would tell customers that it was ours. Then if you want to turn them back, you could. But when I do this page, okay, so creating desire, All right, so I'll actually do it for you real quick. I'll do part of my demo. Oh, all right, let's figure that out later. All right, so quick part of my demo. All right, so Julie, you're my customer. We just did all the bad knives. You're disgusted by bad knives. Okay, so Julie, as far as the bad knives go, now the funny thing is, some people have had their knives for like 5, 10, 15, 20 years or more. And the thing is, they're only designed to last for like a year or two. And for as often as people cook, isn't it kind of silly to use unsanitary and dangerous stuff in your kitchen, even way past than when it's supposed to be used? Yeah, and so I don't even know why people do that. It's kind of weird. All right, now, by the way, what have I just handled? Which objection? With that one sentence. My knives are fine. They can't tell me at the end their knives are fine. Now, that's why customers don't want to get their knives later on, because I just say that sentence. And see, when you're in the demo, I know I'm going to handle all these, but that's how I handle that one. All right, so just really quickly, that's what I do. I go, some people, because I hated what people said. When I got good at the job is when I had a no sale, I said, I don't care what happens on this next presentation, this customer will not say what that last customer said. And I am going to make sure I am crush that in the demo. Okay, like I am going to make sure whatever, and and if they say something different, that's fine, but I'm not going to let them say that last thing, all right? And I would just handle that in demo as strong as possible, so that's where I got that phrase from, all right? So that's, but anyway, I'm not handling that objection. All right, now Julie, now there is one question that I have to ask you, and I really need you to take your time and think about it. Because you can't get this wrong. Because if you get the question wrong, I can never leave your house. All right. So, what do you think is the solution to all your knife problems? No, okay. Okay. So, all right. So now let me show you our knife. So here's how we handle the problems. Here you go. Oh, before I give this to you. I need you to be careful with this one because this one's mine. And if you would have told me, like, first of all, I don't cook. I just want to let you know that. If you would have told me, 3 weeks ago, 4 months ago, for me, 15 years ago, that I'd be sitting in your house right now showing you knives, I would have said you're insane. Okay. And then if you would have told me that I was going to get the knives for myself and keep them, I'd be like, you're crazy. I don't do knives. I don't cook. But when I went into my interview and I saw how good these products were, and I learned about how good they were, I was like, I'm going to do this. This is people need to know about this. And so this one's mine. So I just need you to please be careful with it. All right, like it's really sharp, so please don't drag your finger across the edge because people want to do that. I don't want your blood on my knife. All right, and just and whatever you do, don't drop it. All right. So can I trust you with my knife? Of course. There you go. Okay. See, they always do the same thing too. Like you've seen the knives before, right? You're just like, okay, like that's what I do. All right. So what have I created? What have I done for you?
It kind of added value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I added more value, okay? So I just added value. And I didn't have to tell you I like the knives. I was just telling you my story, okay? I'm telling you what I believe. And by the way, could you say the exact same thing I just said? It would be telling the truth. Yeah. Yeah, okay? So, all you're doing is, a sale is just a transfer of enthusiasm, okay? And so by you, the customers go, wow, you really believe in this. And so therefore, there's something there, okay? As opposed to you're just trying to sell me some knives. Right. Does that make sense? So that's what I do, all right? So, and I do this all the time. Throughout the demo, I go, oh, here, take this again. I go, hold on a second. All right? I constantly do that to them. Like, I pull it, they're like, oh. All right? And so, like, sometimes customers, like, after, like, the 5th knife, they're like, are you going to hand it to me? Right? And so, like, when I do that, I create desire. I'm creating desire and need, right? If you go to a jewelry store and they take out some jewelry, how do they take it out? They just take it and throw it on the table? No. What do they okay, it could be a Mickey Mouse watch though. Okay, and they display it because they're selling. They're selling it. Okay, so that's what you're doing with the product. So that's what you do. So you tell that little story right there. All right. So before you give them the knife, Ms. Jones, just be careful. By the way, I don't say here you go. I go, can I trust you with my knife? They're like, yes. Okay, because I'm building value. All right. So now I show them how much I like the product, show my own personal conviction, talk about all these other people who've had the product as well, and then you cut a lot of food and they see how good it is. Then now they want it, okay? And they want it more than cutting rope and leather. If they want Cutco bad enough, they will find a way to afford it. Right. That's just kind of how it goes, right? You're doing a great job with building desire, I should say. With building desire is when you get to the end of the presentation and the customer's like, look, I can spend probably about $200 here today. What can you do for me? Like, that's when you know you're doing a good job, okay? Like, people who buy BMWs, they're like, look, I love the car, just make it affordable for me, okay? And so that's what you want to do in your presentation. You know, could you imagine a BMW guy trying to sell the car without letting them actually test drive the car? No. Okay, so, and they talk about their car, but good. Guess everyone that owns that works for BMW, they immediately have to get a BMW. Why? Because they want to be able to say, I have this one at my house, this is it. That's how they sell the product. Because people go, okay, you have it, you own it, that's it. Can you imagine if you went to the BMW dealership and the guy drove up in a Lexus? So yeah, let me show you how good the BMWs. You'd be like, what? All right, good. So just do this stuff. Now, can't afford it, and can I get pieces? Are the only two what we call drop-down objections, okay? Where you should actually go from a homemaker to something smaller, okay? These objections are not drop-down objections, okay? If somebody thinks the homemaker isn't worth $14.01 with the kitchen tools and the shears, why would I think a trimmer is worth $54?
Right.
Okay, so there's no point in dropping down here, right? I want to think about it as definitely not a drop-down objection. They said they want to think about the homemaker, and you show them something else. That's not what they said. And my knives are fine, just stupid. All right, so can't afford it, that's fine. You'll still get that one, but at least you should get it in the right way, all right? But let's say about too expensive. Too expensive is the #1 premier problem that reps have, and that you have to counteract during the demo, okay? And if you do what I tell you right now, you will never get too expensive ever again, ever. Neither you do. All right, so here we go. All right, so let's do some psychology and then some verbiage. Okay. As soon as the customer realizes that you're showing them knives, okay, whether it's here, whether it's a Cutco on the front, as soon as they realize, okay, Julie came over and she's showing me knives, they immediately try to figure out how much they cost. Right? Have you had somebody ask you how much something costs during the presentation?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So they immediately start trying to figure out, because that means they like it. All right. When you see a nice car drive by, you go, how much is that? And then you see someone with some nice shoes. Okay, where'd you get those? How much are those? All right. Because you're interested in those. All right. So they immediately try to figure it out. Now, people who have never bought knives before, they don't know anything about good knives. Okay. They bought junky knives, but so they go. Okay, look. This is what happens in like literally a fraction of a second in their mind. All right. So they go, okay, Julie came over to show us knives. Okay, how much was our knife set? Okay, we spent probably about $100 on knives. Okay, so what could really good knives cost? And they go, what do you think they think?
500.
Yeah, right. That's lower than that, right? They go, well, 3 times it better. Okay, so maybe like 3. Yeah, so they're thinking like $200-300. Okay, that's what they think good knives cost. So they don't know anything about knives. All right. So now, if they're thinking this, and then you say $10.79 or whatever the heck the price is that you say, what's their reaction going to be?
Holy moly.
Yeah, that's way too expensive, right? This is called too expensive land, okay? So we can't change the price, okay? But can we change what they think the price should be?
Yes.
Yes, okay? And so we have to raise their expectation of price. The entire time during the demo, you are raising their expectation of price, okay? If I went to your demo, you were, and we were at this page, like I magically showed up at your next demo, okay, and you were in the middle of doing your demo, and you're doing all the knife page, and I walked in the house and I said, oh, hi, Mrs. Jones, hi, Julie, you go, oh, hey, it's my boss, hey, how you doing? Great. I go, hey, Mrs. Jones, I see Julie showing you the set here. How much do you think this thing's going to cost when she's finished? Okay, and if they go, I don't know, maybe $300-400, I would go, okay, great. Hey, Julie, you're finished. Let's go. Okay, I would just pick up your knives and I would just walk you out the door. I was like, why waste time? They would, wait, why? You're just not good. No, you're done. All right, because by then it's way too late. Okay, so and that's what most reps do. They just talk and talk and talk, and they don't build up value. They get to the end and then they're like, oh, and most of these objections come from that, stem from that. Okay, because so that's just how it works. So you have to raise their expectation of price. So how do you do that? Okay, this page. Okay, this is the too expensive killer page. Most new reps spend most of their time on this page, and this page could literally be a minute, 30 seconds it could be, okay? It could literally be like, Mrs. Jones, you kind of cook more than me. Have you noticed that junky knives break all the time and they're really unsanitary and they're disgusting and you really shouldn't use them? You kind of get that, right? Great. Let me show you how we solve those problems. Okay, and then maybe do the thing that I did at the bottom. You know, some people have their knives for 10, 15, 20 years or so. You know, these things are unsanitary, they break, they melt, they crack, they rust, they fall apart, they rip and shred your food all to pieces, and you know, and you have to cook every single day, and that's why there's all these companies that have them. Most people have a drawer full of knives like this. Have you ever seen people, do you have a drawer like this? Most people do, yeah. how it goes. There you go. Problem. That page done. Okay, like that's it. Like, we don't need to talk a half hour about that. All right, so we're not selling bad knives. All right, this is the page that reps don't spend enough time on, and it's the one you should spend their most time on. Okay, so so what I did is I was already building up value a couple seconds ago by doing that whole thing. Like, okay, so now on this page, should you be saying the word expensive?
Well, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, good. Okay, so so please write. No, that's fine. I like to catch reps that down. All right, so please write that down. Say the word expensive a lot.
This makes Cutco more expensive, but...
Right. But it's worth it because da 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 da. Okay. So the grip, you know, grip. You know, the grip is Mr. Jones. We paid over $1 million, you know, for that grip back in 1951 to get the patent for that grip. Okay. And that makes our product more expensive, but it's worth it because it doesn't slip out of your hand. Your blade. You're not going to go underneath the knife and cut yourself, you know, and go to the hospital because of that. All right. Thermal resin. Volleyball football helmets. Mrs. Jones, have you ever heard of thermal resin before? No. You know why? Because it's super duper expensive. And they don't put in a lot of stuff. Okay. They use it in bowling balls, football helmets. I'm throwing in a couple real fast. I don't have to write those notes, but I'll be on video. You know, bowling balls, football helmets. A bowling ball costs $300, $400, $500, and all it is a ball of this. If you got a plastic bowling ball, it would be $20, right? You know, as far as it goes, football helmets cost like $1,000, okay, because you can't have people's heads smashing into each other and the helmets exploding, right? So it's a really strong material. It's great. Full tang. You know, Ms. Jones now putting a full tang nearly doubles the amount of steel in the knife, and it makes Cutco more expensive, but it's worth it because it doesn't wobble around and shake, and ours is balanced. You can put your finger right there. Balances. All right, so which is cool. Nickel silver rivets, Mrs. Jones, they're more expensive, they're worth it because you're not going to get mold around the outside, not going to pop out, you can't feel them, they're flush, and you don't get that green stuff around the outside, which is awesome. All right, now, the nail in the coffin, it's my phone, it's PDI, don't worry about it. The nail in the coffin for too expensive is when you talk about the steel, okay? So I'll even write the phrase on the board, all right? So what you do is you pay, say, surgeons or doctors or whatever, doctors pay over $20 a square inch for this type of steel. The one in your hand, this one on the table, is 7 inches long. Okay, you give them a word problem. Okay, so you go, Ms. Jones, this steel, it's surgical steel, it's got the quiet beauty and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Now, Mrs. Jones, doctors pay over $20 a square inch for this type of steel. And the one in your hand, that's 7 inches long. By the way, it's not including the steel in the handle. Okay, so do you see why I told you try not to touch the steel a lot and don't drop my knife? Okay, so now here's what you have to understand. We don't pay $20 a square inch, okay? When doctors buy stuff, scalpels, and not disposable scalpels, like real scalpels, okay? A scalpel costs, you know, $70, $80, okay? It's 2 inches of steel, okay? So, and then the handle is just, you know, nothing, all right? So that's how doctors buy. When we buy this steel, we buy it before it's been processed. We buy these big sheets of it, and then we do all the heating and processing and all that by ourselves. So we don't pay $20 a square inch, but the customer is buying it just like a doctor would buy it. So that's what it's worth, okay? So I tell them that, all right? So now, after I've done that, okay, with the steel, and then I've gone through the thermal resin, nickels, this is more expensive, that one's the grip is expensive, this is not expensive, all right? Now, what do they think each knife should cost by this time? Yeah, so yeah, like I want them to think like each knife costs $200–300 a piece, okay? Like that's what I'm trying to sell them on, that concept, right? So then when I talk about this and I show them a 20-piece set, they're in their mind like, well, okay, $200 a knife times 20-piece set, you know, 10 of these and 8 of those, yeah, it should be around, you know, $4,000. So when I get to the end and I go, Mrs. Jones, it's twice the quality, twice the price, you're talking over $4,000 for a set of Cutco, they're not like, what? Right? Like they're like, yeah, okay, that's oh, I actually thought it was more. Okay, like they're thinking that back then. Now 1400. Now when I say 1401, they're like, oh my god, okay, great deal. All right, that's the point.
Yeah, I definitely get a lot more can't-affords now, and a lot more too expensive when I first started.
Right. So you got to bring that. You got to use all these phrases and bring that up. Okay. So the double D, is it called? What's the edge called?
Double D.
Double D what? cool. What is this called? It's a double D what? I just said the word a second ago.
Edge?
Edge, right. That's not what it's called from now on. It's a double D technology.
Okay.
Because technology costs more.
Okay.
Right? This is the special double D technology. Okay? After they cut the rope, sometimes, by the way, you don't have to, when you have energy in your demo, you don't have to like always be bouncing off the walls. Like after they cut the rope, like I almost like, I bend over and I go, Julie, do you know why it cuts that well? Right? So when I lower my voice and lean in, guess what they do?
Come close.
Yeah, they're like, why? Okay? Like sometimes I play games. Sometimes I'll be like, they cut the rope and they go, whoa, and I go, Julie, do you know why it cuts so well? Okay, like I like look around, like they're like, what's he looking for? Like it's some government secret, all right? So, but I'm creating energy with them. I'm like, isn't that cool? It's a double D edge, and I actually do it with my hands. I go, it's called double D technology. It's awesome. Like it cuts just like a straight edge. So it's actually there's 3 straight edges in between each 2 points. You see, it kind of looks like half a hexagon. So what happens is, so this is a blade, and that is a blade, and that's a blade. So this is a straight edge, that's a straight edge. So the food goes here, and this straight edge cuts the food, and this straight edge cuts the food, and this straight edge cuts the food. So therefore, it's cutting is 3 different edges cutting at the same time, and they're all straight. And then the points just connect at the bottom, and that stops it from hitting hard stuff. So it's such a great technology. We're the only company that makes that edge, and that makes our product extremely expensive. But it's worth it because you don't have to sharpen the knives. They always cut straight. They cut great, and you can use them. That's why we have people who've had it for 30 and 40 and 50 years. Do you see how I'm creating a desire and an understanding?
Yes.
Price. Okay, so that's all right. Last one, and then we'll finish. All right, so last one is not now. Think about it. Call me back. Got to talk to the psychic network before I buy knives. All right, so this objection gives reps the biggest problem, and it's the easiest to handle. I call it a smokescreen objection. All right, because they didn't really tell you what the problem is. So like, I want to think about it. And you're like, well, what's the problem? Okay, like you don't have anything to grab onto. Okay, so some psychology and then some verbology. All right, so please write this down. Not now means no. Okay, they're never ever buying Cutco from you. They will buy from the next rep I hire that gets referred to that person and goes over and does it. Oh yeah, I had somebody over a couple of years ago and yeah, now I'll buy. All right, so they don't buy later. Okay, I do not care if it's your aunt who stands on a stack of Bibles this high and swears that she's buying it next week. She's not because she's lying, but because next week they don't remember thermoresin, they don't remember double D edges, they don't remember all the stuff, all the reasons they wanted to buy.
They
right?
remember the price.
Right, all they remember is 1401 for knives. Okay, it's like, why does Macy's have a one-day sale? All right, because you go in and you put on the $700 jacket and you're like, man, this feels nice, it looks good. What do you think? You know, oh, do you look good in that? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I got pockets. I got this pocket. I got that. I can put this in here. I can, you know what? I like it. All right, it's 20% off. You know what? I'm gonna get it. But they know if you take that jacket off and you put it back on the rack and you go home, you're like, you know what? Let me go home and think about it. $700. That's a lot of money for a coat. All right, you go home. All right, and then the next day you wake up, you go, why? You don't remember how it felt, what it looked like, and all that. You just go, why am I spending $700 on a jacket? I ain't doing that. That's stupid. All right, so I can go to Walmart and get a jacket. All right, because there's no more quality. All you remember is price. Okay, and so that's why these people don't buy later. It's not because they were lying to you. They just were really excited right then when they had all the information. Okay, like people say they're going to think about it. No, they're not. It's a lie. You leave the house and they're like, you know what, Julie's calling us next week about these knives. We need to discuss this. Okay, like no, they just don't think about it at all until your name pops up on their cell phone again, and then they're like, oh, hi, Jules. Okay, and they know why you're calling because you're just the bill collector at that point.
Yeah.
All right, so the point being is, yeah. So I am much happier for a paring knife versus a homemaker next week. Okay? Like a rep that calls in and says, I just sold a paring knife, I am infinitely more happy than the rep who calls in and says, I just sold a homemaker, I'm getting the check next week. Alright? I'm like, no. Okay, and by the way, the person who sells a homemaker, they're getting the check next week, is like really high on it. They're like, I love life. And the paring knife person's like, yeah, I sold a paring knife. Like, I get this person so much more excited, and I get this person, I take them down like 7 pegs. All right? So, because the point is that this is not a sale. This is a sale, okay? And this person will probably buy more, and this person will just forget and probably not buy anything, all right? So, so that's how it goes. All right, so how do you handle this before it comes up? Okay? Hold on. We're doing some objection work. So
I only could stop for 2 minutes. We have to head to class.
Doing a video.
School.
Doing a video. Doing a video. I'm doing a video. You're standing in front of it. See that?
Oh.
Right there? camera, video. All right, so write down whatever you have to tell me and then go across. Okay, so show a video? Huh? Stick your head in it. What is this thing? Anyway, so
Sorry about that.
that's fine, man. We love you. Yeah. All right. So let's teach you how to handle it before it comes up. Okay. And this one, I used to hate this one, so I used to make sure. Like I spent more time on this one than almost any other objection, other than too expensive. But this one, these two were like my. Like I didn't want them saying that, all right? So I'm just gonna do this, and then you can, good, we'll have it on video now, so you guys can watch it, dissect it later. So don't take any notes, just be a person. I'll
It's
just
the one
do it.
I need to take notes on the most.
Yeah, okay, so we're in the demo, we cut the rope, Julie loved everything, I went through the 3 parts of the guarantee, and I'm now on the 4th part of the guarantee. Okay, so the last part, so Julie, the last part, and let's say your husband isn't here either, okay? So the last part of the guarantee is our 15-day trial period. What do you think of the product so far?
I'm pretty impressed with it.
Oh! Why did you say that? You're bubbling around.
I was trying to.
You're over 6,000?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah!
Get over here.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Don't knock everything over. All right. Break my teeth. Congrats. How many recs did you
It's
get?
about
I got
time.
4.
4 recs and over 6K. Beautiful.
Yes.
All right, go to school.
Okay.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
All right. So, good. Anyway, continuing on. All right. So, Julie, we were interrupted by your daughter. All right. So what do you think of the knives so far?
I'm pretty impressed by them.
Yeah. Well, guess what? I only showed you like 3.
Uh-huh.
We cut a piece of rope. We peeled a carrot, and I cut a penny in half.
Right.
So I'm going to show you all this stuff, okay? And if you're like me, and if you're like most customers, you're gonna love everything, you know? But what's gonna happen is when I get finished showing you everything, you're not gonna know what you wanna buy. Like, you probably weren't looking to spend like 20 grand today and buying the whole book, were you? Okay, so and most people aren't. Most people don't want to buy the whole thing, and your husband's not here either. And so you probably wish he was here right now so he could see some of the stuff that you're seeing. And and this is normal. That's what happens with most customers. And so what the company does is they know this happens a lot. So what they do is that to protect you, they have a 15-day money-back, unconditional money-back guarantee. And what this allows you to do is you can actually put a small deposit down on any of the sets that I show you today, and you'll get the entire set. So that way you can actually show it to your husband. Now, what will happen is that you have the 15 days, and that way you guys can discuss what you like, what you don't like. Now, most people like everything and just want to keep it all. If that does happen, then you just pay it off over half a year with no interest, which is kind of cool. If you only like a couple of pieces, you just take the stuff out that you like, okay, and you keep that, and you just send back whatever you don't like, and you'll just charge you for what you keep. And if you don't like the whole thing, and you and your husband decide, you know what, we don't want to make an investment like this, then you just send it back and they give you your deposit back. So this way your husband doesn't get like crazy mad at you for spending a lot of money, and it protects you, so you don't have to feel like, oh my god, I just spent all this money, and you don't have to make a big decision to that. Now, the second thing that it does is it protects me as the rep, because like I get paid for doing these presentations. I love the presentations, but you know but what I hate doing is calling people back over and over again. Like I don't like harassing people about like I like the job, but I don't like harassing people. And so the company doesn't want me to have to call you like 100 times. I had a lady do this like last week. Like she's like, oh, can you call me next week? And then I had to call her, and then I'm like, do you want to buy knives? And she's like, oh, can you call me again? And I'm like, do you want to buy knives? And I'm like, I just don't want to be that person. Like I hate that. So and the company doesn't want us to do that either. They don't want us to annoy you. That's why they pay us for doing the presentations alone. So the 15-day trial period protects me too. So that way you can put the deposit down, and I don't have to keep calling you back, and you don't have to feel like and try to get you to buy something in the future. And so, and it's great. It's just like, it's almost like, trying, that'd be cool if they put that on cars. Like if you can get a car, drive it around for 2-3 weeks, and then if you didn't like it, bring it back to the shop and say, look, I don't want this car, let me try a different one. Yeah, that'd be cool. But that's what we do with ours. And so I've had customers literally who've like put down like $1,000, got like a $5,000 set, tried it out, had it for a Thanksgiving meal and whatever, used it, and then they just picked out the stuff they liked, and that's how it goes. Yeah. And so that's why we have that trial period in place. And the only thing that some customers tell me is they go, I'm not really gonna, send it back. Like I don't putting things in the box and going and sending it back, and they're probably waiting for the 15 days to run out, so therefore you get stuck with stuff. And that's not our MO. That's not my thing either. So what I do is after 15 days, I'll call you just to make sure you're happy with what you have, and I actually extend this to 30 days. And I give my own personal guarantee that if after 30 days you're still not, happy with anything or you want to send anything back, okay, I personally will come over and help you send it back. I don't mind doing that. I just don't want to have to keep calling you back and saying, do you want to buy more, or do you want to buy today, or that kind of stuff. So isn't that cool? Yeah. So yeah, great guarantee. Let me show you your set. Okay. So are they going to tell me any of this nonsense now? No, okay, because I just said it all before it came up, and I just made them understand I'm not calling you back, all right? And by the way, and I used a lot of techniques there too. Okay, like I used the technique of other people, right? Okay, I had this other lady last week who made me do this. Now they don't want to be that ugly, horrible lady. Okay, I used the technique of third person story. All right, so and then always your set. All right, so that's how you handle that. Key phrases in there. By the way, I don't do it. I keep saying I don't do it the same way every time, but I kind of do. I just have certain phrases that I make sure I say that I just sometimes don't do in the same order. All right. So a big phrase to say is no big decision today. And that's an important phrase to stick in there. Because do people like making decisions? No. Do they like making big decisions?
No.
That's even worse. Do you like making big decisions today? No, that's the worst of all of them, okay? Like, so you see people freak out because they have to order something at a restaurant. Like, it's like, just order some freaking food, right? So you come to this restaurant every week, right? So, but people don't like making decisions, all right? So, and they freak out about decisions because they don't want to make a bad decision. See, none of these things have anything to do with money. They just don't want to do the right, they want to do the right thing. People are trained since like kindergarten, like you have to do the right thing, get the answers right, okay? And they just don't want to do the wrong thing. So if you do a presentation where, like if a presentation was done and they completely understood that the company has been around forever and over 15 million people buy our products, and you show them 6 testimonies of 8 people who've had it for forever, okay? And they completely understand that they're spending a lot more money on junky stuff for the rest of life and it's not safe and sanitary, and they completely understood all the features that go into our product that make it cost what it costs, and then they completely understood the guarantee, they completely understood why they need a paring knife, what they're going to do with the trimmer, what they're going to do with the spatula spreader, what they're going to do with this, right? They understood that they need to put those in some kind of storage option so they don't crash together, they don't lose fingers. They understood the kitchen tools and the cool features there. They understood the stuff in stores and how much those cost, and they understood that ours cost less because they're not sold in the store, and we could take out $600 in the price because of that. People would buy if they clearly understood all that stuff. However, if they understood everything, but they don't think they need a slicer, they can't understand why they would use that, well, I'm not going to buy a homemaker set now because it's got a slicer in it, and I don't know why I need that. Okay, and then they say this thing. All right. So if you ever heard, RJ, they asked RJ at one of the conferences, like, how do you handle this objection? How do you handle it? He's like, I don't handle objections. Yeah, because he handles them all beforehand, right? He handles everything crystal clear, and they just do a better presentation, so they don't have to handle it afterwards. All right? Because your reps are always like, how do I handle this? How do I handle that? How do I just do a better demo? Okay, like it's not like it's like hey, now I've got 6, so what do I do? How about wash your hands and eat better, as opposed to waiting until you have a terminal disease to try to change your eating habits. Right? So. Just makes sense, all right? So those are those 3. There's 2 other ones. I'll give you one bonus tip, okay? If a customer asks you how much is something in the middle of the demo, how do you handle that?
So I promise I'll discuss with you.
Are you using a blue pen?
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. First off, how do you feel about the blue pen right now?
I like it, writes pretty well.
Well, just a second ago when I did that.
I was a little questionable.
You're like, why? Okay. Now, all I did was I just asked you a question. Are you using a blue pen? Okay. But it was the way I asked you that made you go, okay. Like I don't know what's wrong with this. Okay. So that's just, it's not. Sometimes it's not the words. It's how you say the words. Okay. So that's what's called reaction selling. All right. Customers like little kids. Right. When you walk with the kid falls down. You go, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? And they go. Okay, they start crying because of how you reacted. But sometimes you're right, like the kid falls, you're like, oh come on, get up, you're fine, right? And they're like, oh okay, I'm fine, right? Like they just react however you react, okay? So if a customer says, how much is, so ask me, I'm doing the demo, ask me how much one is.
How much is a petite chef?
Oh, petite chef, by itself. Most people buy them in sets. I don't even know what the individual prices are. You You don't want to buy them individually, do you?
Why not?
Because they cost a lot more that way.
Well, I don't know if I could use all of those lines.
Well, I'll do a better job of explaining, but I don't recommend you buy them individually. They're a horrible individual.
Okay.
I think maybe $500-600 for that one. If you buy this on
Really?
a set. Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing,
Uh-huh.
but I would definitely buy a set.
Okay.
Okay, right? So, by the way, so first off, are they going to ever ask that question again? No, okay, because I'm like, wow, that was a bad question. It's almost like I react as if they said, can I cut my finger off with that one? I would be like, yeah, you could. I don't recommend that. By the way, it's not $500. I just go, I don't know. And they're like, well, how much? I go, I don't know. That's a lot of steel in that one. Maybe $500-600. $500-600? But I go, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't recommend you get them individual. Okay, and you just keep shaking your head no like this. All right, yeah, I don't think I'll do that either. All right. Now, if they do want to buy it individually later on, after I've gone through every single piece and all the sets and everything, I'll look it up and I'll say, oh, it's only like 115. I was way off. Told you I didn't know. All right, but the point is that it's not a good deal for people to buy them out of sets. The sets are better. Okay, so and then that's how it goes. All right, so that's how you handle that. Beautiful. Yeah, you can go. It was long, but that was good for you. So, but I'll post this up on the Cutco training website, so you can go over it again. But did that help?